just share the link with everyone and then I'll join. Okay. Okay, we'll wait for certain time, let people join in. Meanwhile, if you all can just start your IntelliJ for Tomcat. I hope you remember we have been working on that. Okay, everyone started with their Intel IJ. Let's begin. And we have been last time working on what I think we have started with servlets, and we went on to work with what was the servlet we worked with? Anyone remember that? I remember that. Yeah, I guess this was the servlet we worked with, which is even not servlet. Yes. So I know it has been a long time. We have been working on this, and there was a break in between. Let me quickly just show you, give you a simple. Let's write a servlet to try understand this. I hope you remember we have installed Tomcat, and everyone, can you quickly just confirm in the chat box? Have you all been able to get this servlet up and running, right? I think that was the last point where I left you, and we were just completed with the installations and everything. So is it up and running for you all? Okay. So just to proceed ahead on this, let us write another servlet. Let us let us call it as what? A Java class, and let us call it as palindrome servlet. It's a very important, like something which we'll commonly keep on using. And what are the basic steps we do here? First, we mark it as web servlet, and let me call it as what? Palindrome servlet. Then we extend what? We extends generic servlet. Yeah? The moment we extend generic servlet, it will ask me to override certain methods. What are those methods? First is the service method. Service method have what? Servlet request, servlet response. They throw servlet exception, IO exception. Then from that, what we do is we'll say print writer out is equal to, and we need to import print writer class is equal to response, or normally we name it as request and response rather than naming it as servlet request and servlet response. So response dot get writer. Then what we do next? Response dot set content type text slash html. And now what we do is we accept the request, process the data, and then we respond back. So ideally, these are the three steps we do. Let us take them one by one into action. First, how do we accept the request? So I'll say string palindrome, and I'm expecting that you pass me the name, and my parameter name is also going to be the name. So string name is equal to request.get parameter. I get the parameter. Then how do I process the data? So for processing the data, I simply just say now I want to check whether this is palindrome or not. So for checking whether this is palindrome or not, I will make use of string buffer. String buffer, string buffer is equal to new string buffer of name. Then I can reverse it quickly. String buffer dot reverse, and then I will say string reversed string is equal to string buffer dot to string, and then I say if name dot equals, and then I'll just ignore the case, equal ignore case, reverse string. So I do what? I take string buffer, reverse my string, and now at this is the point where I start responding back. So I'll say out.println palindrome, else out.println not a palindrome. So this is how I am responding back, and then I say out.close. So now When I want to execute this particular servlet, what will I do? I will execute this from here. So it will start my server now. Okay. If I click on this, okay, if I move it here and then I say palindrome hyphen servlet question mark name is equal to Tom, it will say not a palindrome, not a palindrome. But if I say instead of name is equal to Tom, if I say name is equal to mom, it will say it's a palindrome. Why? Because anything which, my bad, I have not sent the link. Okay, we'll wait for some time because I think I'm forgot to send the link to division B. Ozia, okay, so I think I forgot to send the link to division B. So this was the code we are working with. Can anyone please share the link to this? Okay, I'll do that. So those who have joined on Google Meet, they can please. So this is the new servlet which I have written, and I would like you all to start with this so that I can show it to you practically how this can be taken care. And don't worry, those who have joined right now, I'll explain this whole code again. Okay, please start working on this. This is the new servlet which I have created. Yeah, let me know once you're done with this part. I'll keep on scrolling down here because this example have one more example connected to it, which I want to show it to you then. Yep, are we done with this? Okay, are we done with this? Okay, just to speed up the process for now, because we have lost behind on the first part, I will just do what, I'll share this code, or better I'll just push this to the repo. Not created any Git repo for this. Create a quick repo and I will update this one there. Okay, so you can find it inside main Java, and here are the servlets what we have added. But I'll give you this exact link in the chat box. You can check it up from here. So this is the code we have executed, and let me know if you're facing any issue understanding it. Okay, let me know once you're done with this, please. Some quick thumbs up or something in the chat box will be okay. I have given you the link where the exact code is, and please tell me, like, can we proceed then? Okay, so the next part, is where I was just looking at the syllabus, and there are quite few examples for. If you see the practical list, there are a lot when it comes to servlet. Obviously, I have got them all, but here we have got write a servlet to determine whether the number is prime or not. Write a servlet to determine whether the entered number from HTML form is palindrome or not. So you have seen we have written the servlet. We need to just check whether it is palindrome or not, but we need to connect it to a form. How can we do that? So for that reason, I will now go to my web app. Inside my web app, I will write a new HTML page. Yeah, and I will call it as palindrome. Yeah, let me call it as palindrome, and I will give it title as what? Check palindrome. In my body, I will create a form now. I will create a form, and this form I will say I will create what enter name, and inside this enter name I'll say input type is equal to text, and the name of this should match the parameter. So I'll say type name is name, and I should have a button. So I will say input type is equal to submit, and name is equal to check palindrome. And now what is the action where I want to pass it? So I have slash. In the same application, I have got a palindrome servlet. So I say whenever this happens, I want to pass the data as a palindrome server to the palindrome servlet, this data whenever this form is clicked. So I will now execute this HTML. So if I say instead of palindrome servlet, if I say palindrome.html, I made a spelling mistake here. So this will give me the name, and I will say Tom. See, and when I say submit, so it is okay. It is not going directly to the palindrome servlet. Let me see. Yeah. See, now it is going to only need to pass the name of the palindrome and not the slash. So it is going to name as this, and then if I go back and I say instead of test I put dad, so it says dad is a palindrome. So now I don't have to go and write something in my question, but you see there are two types of HTTP request. There are, like in servlet JSP, we have seen there are two types. One is get, one is post. What we need to do here is we'll have to specify that what is going to be my method. And when I say method is equal to post, before I make this change, I want you all to see that by default it is always get. So what happens here is if I go back, refresh, and I pass dad, see, if my input parameters are appearing in the address bar, that means it is in a get request. See, I can see this dad and everything, I can see it here. In fact, no, this is not the name. Okay, so now this time what I'll do is I will make it as method is equal to post. When I make it post, now you'll see that the URL bar will not show anything. I go back, refresh, and I pass dad now, and I say submit. See, it is giving me the output, but it is not showing me anything here. Yeah, my names, whatever I'm passing is not appearing in the address bar. Are you understanding this? Yes, no, maybe something will be a good output, good response for now. So what you do is inside your web app, you will directly write an HTML. Please write this HTML and make sure you point it exactly to the servlet we are working with. Okay, please let me know once you're done with this. Yeah, please let me know once you're done writing this HTML and is it working. You have to make sure two things. This name is exactly the name you have given in the parameter here. This name and this value should match. And secondly, whatever name you have given here in your web servlet, you have to give exact name here in the action. Yeah, is it done? Okay. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, so the next part is I want to show you is let me open our sheet. Okay, so we have spoken about generic servlet. Now let us talk about HTTP servlet. So when it comes to HTTP servlet, now HTTP servlet, it is a subclass, a sub interface of generic servlet. And HTTP servlet have overridden the service method, but they have two more methods. Here you have to specifically write either you're trying to fetch the value from doGet or doPost. So you have to specify, are you going to get the data from the URL or are you going to get the data from the form? You're supposed to do that. And in that way, what you do is you write your doGet and you write your doPost. Okay. So when you write an HTTP servlet, you will override any one of them or both of them or all the three of them. That is also a possibility. So for example, now let us consider another example and let's try to write that. For example, write a servlet program to print all the even numbers between two entered number by the user. So let's say user enter 5 and 500. So print even numbers between 5 and 500. So let's try this with HTTP servlet. How will we do that? I say Java class and I say even range servlet. Okay, even range servlet. I will mark it as what? At web servlet, and let me call it as even range servlet. Okay, consider I am going to make it what? HTTP servlet this time. And when I make it HTTP servlet, see, I can override either doGet or doPost. So I'll say public void. First, let us do with doGet so that we'll know that we'll fetch the data only from server and throws servlet exception IO exception. Then I say response.set content type text slash HTML. Print writer. Out is response.get writer. Now we have again doing three things. What are the three things we do? Normally we accept the request, process the data, we accept the request, we process the data, and we respond back. So how do we accept the request? So this time we are going to get start and end number. So I'll say first two things. Int start is integer.parseInt request.get parameter start. Int end is request.get parameter. So I have to convert that into an integer. Then how do I, like, there is no processing this time. I need to start with the response. So I'll say start processing the data, and I'll say for int number is equal to start, number is less than end, and here I will write a process. What is that process? If my number mod 2 equals 0, then I will only print that number, else I will not print the number. So this is how I respond back. And already I'll just say out dot println end of HTML, and I will say out dot flows. So this way, this is, and again you remember one thing, this is nothing but a do get. So I will have to make the call from the URL this time. So what will I do? In my do get, yeah, I will put the code on the website, don't worry. Okay. So now I will execute this. Let's rerun this. And we'll have even range servlet. So we'll replace this palindrome servlet with even range servlet. If I pass this, it will say it is not available. Okay, let's see why is that. Even range. Okay, I'm making spelling mistake today. Relaunch it. So now when I run it, it is saying number format exception. Why? Because it did not get start and stop. So I'll say question mark start is equal to 10 and stop is equal to 100. Sorry, and end is equal to 100. So see, it is starting 10, 12, 14, 16, and the number goes on till 100. So can we try this out quickly? Simple example, even range servlet. I will push this code to the repo as well. Is it done? Okay, so now if I want to connect this with my HTML form, how will I do that? See, uh, okay, that is fine. Let's say user entered numbers between 5 and 500. That is also fine. Now the next example requires us to do what? Write a servlet program where users enter name from a form. So if this sort of question comes in your exam, you'll have to make sure that you enter the name from a form. So you'll have to write a normally write a HTTP servlet with doPost method. So the question is what? Enter a name from a form and send back the length of the name to them. So for that, what will you do is you will write new Java class. Let me call it as name length servlet. Okay. Mark it as what? At web servlet slash name length servlet, and we are extending what? HTTP servlet, and I want to override do post method. Yeah, I want to override do post method. Here we have got HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response. I would recommend naming it as request and response itself. That will be much better for you in long run as well. Yeah, I don't like this request REQ and RESP. Then what we'll do, we are going to get the name. So first is response dot set content type, then print writer out is this. Then I accept the request, so I'll say let me get the name. Then I find the, so I'm accepting the request. Then I process the data, so I'll say int length is equal to name dot length, and then out dot println. So out dot println, and here in the bold I say length of name is, in design it a bit, end of body, end of HTML, and then you can do out dot close. So we accepted the parameter, process the data, and now we respond back to the client. But this time we require to pass the data from a form and not from a URL. So at this time, what I'll have to do is I have to go back in my web app again, create a new HTML file, yeah, and call it as name length and inside my body I will say form method is equal to post action is equal to name. Okay, I am making a lot of spelling mistakes today. Let me fix this quickly. Yeah, name length, and here I do what? I say name length servlet, and do not pass that initiating slash because they are in the same context. So we don't have to do that. So end of form, and here I say enter name, input type is equal to text, name is equal to name, break tag, break tag, input type is equal to submit, value is equal to get length. And now when I try to execute this, let's see what happens. We have got name length servlet. So name length dot html, so I pass my name, should return 6, length of zeta is 6. Then you pass any other name. So if we say Hinduja, it give you 7. Okay, so this is your name servlet, and so I'll push this to the repo, complete this and let me know. So both HTML and this file will go on the repo. So I will say name length servlet, Okay, so these are the HTTP servlets. Uh, just can you please add your roll number in the chat box so that I will mark the attendance. I'm not feeling well. I'll take the session tomorrow, and we'll do what is we'll complete JDBC with Servlet. That is one part of it, and session management in Servlet. So we'll do a session tomorrow, and we'll complete it. Okay. So can you put your roll numbers in the chat box? Okay, so I'll see you all tomorrow, and we'll do a quick, like tomorrow the session will be a bit longer. We'll do a 2 hour session where we'll do first part, we'll connect Servlet with JDBC so that we'll know how to take the data from web, put it into the backend, and then how Servlet internally manages the data. Okay, then thank you, and I'll see you all tomorrow.